Hey everyone, ZXPecStar here, and guess what? It's Halloween time! And what did I decide to have a look at this Halloween? Well, not a modern day game, but I decided to look at Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. And all in all, this is an absolute classic, and definitely worthy of the attention for many, many years. This game has kept me coming back again and again and again and again, and I could just sit down and complete this game so many times, and literally again and again and again. But why? What draws this game into such great accolades and being such a great game that always brings me back for more? Just wanting to finish that game that one more time, yet again and again and again. Well, let's go back to the start. First of all, when you start playing the game, you just get the feel of eeriness. The introductory rolls up the screen very, very slowly, and the music that plays sets the atmosphere absolutely beautifully for the game. The lightning striking the gravestone, and Dracula escaping back to his castle. Well, you see the bat fly away, but you know the first thing he's doing, he's heading home again back to Castlevania, and just to terrorise that little town again in the middle of Transylvania. Anyway, when you go through this wonderful little intro, the fog creeping in and everything like that, it brings back so many memories for me on just why this game's atmosphere is so good. But how does it all play compared to the previous ones? Now, going on first, this is the first Castlevania game that ever came onto the Super Nintendo. The previous ones were available on the NES, and there was a few on the Game Boy. However, much to many people's frustrations, yeah, you've just got to look at the long history of just how hard the original Castlevania games are, or just how problematic they are if you take a look at the original Castlevania 2. But Super Castlevania 4 hit the Super Nintendo like a bulldozer and really round in on good old-fashioned Castlevania. Now, what did we get for a change? First of all, the music. The music to this game is absolutely brilliant. I don't really know any other game that was on the Super Nintendo that had music that was so atmospheric, and each and every piece of music that was made for this game fitted each stage perfectly. When you're in the caves, it sounds like cavern-style music. Then as you're getting into the castle, especially in the ballroom, it sounds like a ballroom-style music theme. It really, really sets the mood for each stage you go through. And not only that, a lot of these tunes are very, very memorable. I could see even to this day whistle the very first tune when you're going through the first stage of this game in my head. It's just got in there, it wedged in there, and it never left me. That just shows how good Konami are at making music for in-games. They've done it on numerous of their games that I've sat down and enjoyed. They have always had very, very good music, and they always set all the moves quite nicely. And Super Castlevania 4 is of no difference. It just blends in wonderfully. It gives you the feeling of creepiness, isolation, and the general what's going on in this castle is just generally not all that good. And why wouldn't it be? Because let's see, what's infesting this castle? Well, all your typical run-of-the-mill Castlevania monsters are here. Skeletons, bats, various other nasties, mermen, you name it, it's in here, and it's all out trying to stop you. And each of the levels have stuff, or even in the subsectional areas, all have stuff and bad guys, which are relevant to the subsectional areas. You don't really see anything that's out of place. Well, at least I don't think you do anyway. But also, being a platform game, it is littered with the old instant death spike traps, and various other things which really, really will either get on your nerves or just very easy to get around. But then you'll find the odd few times where you'll be stuck in the part and you'll get done in very easily. Which goes to the gameplay. Now, the gameplay was increased over from the original Castlevania. Basically, they decided to enhance your whip so you can actually fire it in 8 directions. This added a very big major scale new element to the game. You was able to whip out and lash in every direction, which made you extremely adaptable for whatever situation you was in. Got a bad guy walking underneath you? Simply jump into the air and lash downwards towards them and get rid of them that way. Just hope they need more than one whip hit to get rid of. Otherwise you could end up landing on them on top of them, and then just generally not doing yourself any favour to your health bar. Various along the way as well, he's got the old-fashioned power-ups as well to help you along your way. Power-ups include from weapons, include the knife, the axe, the cross, the stopwatch for stopping time for short, brief periods of time, and just generally those little things which help you along the way. Which, once again, you're whipping candles to gain hearts. And of course, everyone who plays a Castlevania game know what hearts are for. Yep, they're there to help you actually bring your supply up, so you can keep on chucking these things. There's various other things, including meats, which you can use to actually recharge your health if you've taken a few hits during the fight. And then there's an invincibility potion, which will give you about 10-12 seconds of invincibility. Never really any use to me, but hey, it gets you through a little tough section every now and then. And then ardent support, you've also get 2 and 3 icons. These basically allow you to throw up to 3 of the your weapon of choice. But trust me, being able to throw 3 crucifixes later on in the stage is really, really to your advantage. Now, some of the things that still did transpose over from the original Castlevania series, the cheap deaths are still here. There have been numerous times I've played this game where something's gone astray and it's knocked me clean off the bottom, especially a stray bone or anything like that. You just get pushed back every time you take a hint. This can be problematic. If you think you're going to be taking a hint, the best thing to do is crouch, because then you don't get the pushback effect. Yeah, I know it's a bit cheesy, but there are some parts of the stage where if you take a hit, you're going to drop straight into an instant death situation. So land on the platform and keeping crouched is your obvious answer. And you've also got to be careful of some platforms as well. Some of them will give way underneath you too if you hang around on them too long. Or if you jump on some platforms, it will spin around and drop you straight through. And once again, this is usually straight into another instant death situation. Konami knew how to get people on this one. So what do you need to get around these? Simple, just walk over them. That's the easiest thing to do. Especially when later on when they start having spikes on the reverse. So if you're jumping on them, it's like, uh-oh, you're in trouble if you're landing on the next one. So yeah. If you don't get it across the first time, you're definitely not going to get back if there's spikes now standing in your way. The other good thing about this one is the instant death things can be forgivable sometimes, and they will frustrate at points because you really should have known better than getting yourself caught in some of those situations. But then again, you live and learn. Now, if you're playing this for an emulator, I do recommend not cheating on it. Just for the pure and simple fact that when you lose all your power-ups, it's a better challenge to go for and try to get that double whip upgrade so you can do some decent damage. You can pretty much get through the game without using the additional weapons, but they're just there to help out in the long run. Now, any other features of the game which really always stuck out? Well, also with whip, you're able to whip onto hooks as well, and this will actually take part of some of the levels, especially one of the later levels where you have to whip onto a hook and then basically hold as the whole entire level rotates. This is where the Mode 7 came into some really, really good things. Some of the levels were damn impressive for the Super Nintendo, especially the area where you were jumping along the giant candelabras, and also the area where you got spinning background, as well as making you giddy. All the platforms on there are instantly dropping through, so you've got to keep on the move. If you wait around too long, then you're going bye-bye straight down a bottomless hole. The Mode 7 was used to its best here, with lots of spinning stuff, and like I say, the spinning levels just have to be seen to be believed. I always find that the giant candelabras are really, really impressive, even today. When they're just swinging side to side as you're trying to jump from candelabra to candelabra, it's just really, really good. Why would Dracula have such giant things in this castle? Oh well, we'll have to ask the programmers of this game. Now, being Nintendo of America, there was some censorship issues, but they weren't that much. Yeah, the blood was removed from when you're whipping sort of stuff, and some of the statues in one of the stages, they were topless, but then they just simply got drawn over with some tops. Quite little sprite change, but nothing too heavy on the censorship. At least wonder why Nintendo of Japan got away with it, but Nintendo of America didn't. You suddenly see a little bit of favoritism here on this one. Either which way, the bosses, well, they can be seen to be a challenge at some point for new players, but once you're used to playing the game, they are really quite easy because you know their tactics. The first one could be simply beaten with the whip, and then when you get to Medusa, if you've got the crucifix, you just keep lashing it out while you're sitting there whipping her at the same time. They go down very, very easy. Some of them could be a bit problematic, but it's only when you really get to the last stage, when you're fighting basically 3 bosses before you can actually go to Dracula, that's when you really get a challenge, and you've only got 1 health bar to do them all in. They have patterns you could learn. Once you've learned them, it's easy enough. Death is always a problem, and death is always one that seems to appear in the series. Well, he's appeared in every game so far. It seems like death and Dracula seem to be very buddy-buddy in this one. They probably all go off down the pub for drinks or something like that at the end of the day. Hey, we failed to take over again. Let's go down for a pint. Sounds good to me. Why wouldn't it sound good to anybody like that? So, yeah, there's a very, very wide variety of bosses. Quite a few of them are usually familiar from other fiction, including Frankenstein, the Mummy. Yeah, starting to get there, are you? There's also some various other bosses, including a big rock guy, some strange skull, who's apparently named PX Quazzle. Don't know how that works out, or don't know how that's even care, but it's just a giant skull. Then there's also a pair of ghostly dancers, there's a jewel-encrusted bat. Yeah, there's pretty much everything which comes along with this. And like I say, the challenge is good. There's a good variation in the stages as well, and there's even some shortcuts if you know how to do certain stages, especially the library stages. If you jump through the right set of stairs, you could literally get right to the bottom of the stage and not have to worry about half the crap that's going on. But that just comes through sheer practice and know the game, and for the fact that I've been playing it for so long, I basically know where these little loopholes are. Yeah, you may take a hit from a monster or something like that, but it's well worth it seeing that you just cut out the whole entire stage. But then again, it does make you feel like a bit of an idiot where you miss it and then you miss where you're supposed to land. Yeah, I've done that a few times too. Even when you get to the final tower, climb to Dracula's tower, you get a giant sort of buzzsaw thing chasing you. Yep, you've really got to keep moving, and just to make matters worse, the stairs start disappearing on you as well. So if you're looking for a bit of a challenge, it's going to be there. But for this game, the music was right, the atmosphere was right. This generally felt like a Castlevania game. Now, after this one, basically the Castlevania games soon then started turning into the Metroidvania style type. But out of the classic platformer styles, this is possibly the best. I know Dracula X was on the Super Nintendo, but it was a bastardized version of what it was on the PC Engine, I do believe. So it wasn't a good version. It definitely wasn't a clearer version of that. It wasn't accurate, giving you the truth and honesty. But just the whole entire setting and the way this was done by Konami really, really made this game stand out and really made this game good. I can't fault it. I really can't fault it, apart from the cheap deaths from every now and then. But this has been something that has plagued all Castlevania games, like I said at the start. You do get so many cheap hits in every now and then that will cost you a life. But hey, if you get to a certain distance and run out of lives, there's a password system, just in case you need to get through and you need to go back to a certain stage again. So you don't need to do the game in one sitting, but if you can do the game in one sitting, then it's definitely well worth it in the end. Oh, by the way, if you're still a first-time Castlevania 4 player, which I probably reckon this generation, or probably a previous generation are, because it's just been re-released in the Wii U store. Don't know why, because it was released in the Wii store a certain time beforehand. But, like I say, when you get to Dracula, there's an invisible platform just outside his walk up to his chamber. If you can find it, you'll get a full upgrade of weapons and everything you need to beat him. Or you could try doing it without it. Trust me, it's a nightmare trying to do it normally. Castlevania 4 is a great game and deserves to stay in the annals of Super Nintendo history. There was only one Castlevania game on the Mega Drive, and that was pretty good in its own accord, but it didn't have exactly the same sort of length or exactly the same sort of atmosphere as what this one did. This one was solidly in Dracula's castle, and not just the castle, you made your way into it, and this one really made you feel good. And for me, myself personally, I always feel good when I finish this game. I never feel bad whenever I've done it, no matter how many times I've finished this game. This just goes to show how good this game is and how well it has lasted and just how much it has stood the test of time. So, whether you have an original cartridge, or you're getting the emulated version, or you're buying it from the Wii U store or the Wii store itself, Super Castlevania 4 is a game I will not pass out, and I definitely would recommend paying a few quid on to get it into your collection if you're a collector. Okay, this is ZXPectstar signing out, and I'll see you all soon, and have a happy Halloween.